The president defends his response to the attacks in Virginia at a campaign-style rally in Arizona. Plus, the next chapter begins for efforts to revitalize downtown Kalispell, and a new team gets ready to take over management of the Gibraltar Ridge fire.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KAJ, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Ariana Lake. The next step in revitalizing the Kalispell downtown begins today. The first phase of the new Glacier Rail Park broke ground today as part of the larger Kalispell Core Area project. As MTN's Jack Ginsburg reports, today's work is just the beginning of a 5-year plan to remove the old rail tracks from downtown and make the area more pedestrian friendly.
This is truly a transformative moment. This is the moment in history, and 50 years from now, we're going to look back and realize that the pain and sacrifice we made was well worth the effort.
Today, the city of Kalispell celebrated the start of the plans to lay down new train tracks in the Glacier Rail Park that will replace the old tracks running through downtown.
Not only did they have a ceremony today, but they actually broke ground. Senator Tester and Mayor Johnson drove the tractors behind me, right here where the new rail tracks will be laid.
Senator Tester, along with many other speakers, talked about how big of a deal this truly is for the city's future development.
A lot of times we go to these groundbreaking ceremonies and it's made out to be bigger than it actually is. This one's going to be bigger than we think.
The project is being paid for by a $10 million Tiger grant that the city received after its third attempt.
You know, it's not easy to get money out of Washington, D.C. The folks stuck to it and got it done, and they need to be applauded for their efforts.
According to the city of Kalispell and the Flathead Valley Economic Development Authority, the overall project is expected to bring over $38 million in public and private investment to the community over the next few years, along with 80 to 100 new jobs at the rail park alone.
The economic activity that's going to happen right here in this park and the long-term impact it's going to have on the economy here in Kalispell is just going to be incredible. And that's not even talking about the advances that are going to be made downtown, which is going to really change the look of the city.
Tester doesn't just believe it is good for Kalispell, but the state as a whole.
I think from a jobs perspective, whether you're talking downtown or whether you're talking out here in this rail park, it's good news. It's good news not only for Kalispell, but for northwestern Montana. And actually, if you want to know the truth, it's good news for Montana.
Reporting in Kalispell, Jack Ginsburg, MTN News.
By 2019, the old train tracks in downtown will be removed and replaced by 2 miles of pedestrian trails. Brand new tonight at 10, the Bullock administration is asking state agencies to identify another 5% in budget cuts. That's in addition to the more than $70 million in cuts already announced. Governor Steve Bullock's budget office is asking the agencies to submit those proposed cuts. Actually, they were supposed to submit them by last Friday. The governor's office did not respond today to inquiries from MTN News about these cuts or what actions the administration is planning. Montana law allows the governor to cut state agency budgets up to 10% if revenue falls below a certain point. Any cuts apparently would be on top of the $70 million in state budget reductions already in motion over the next 2 years. Those cuts were triggered when a June 30th tax revenue target was not met. Weather-wise, you may have noticed it felt a little hotter than normal today. Here's Chief Meteorologist Aaron Yost with a quick look at our conditions. Aaron.
We hit 89 for that high today, Ariana. That is 9 degrees above average for this time of year. And yes, our average high is around 80. We will continue sliding lower as we approach the next season of fall. But right now it's definitely feeling like summer. And with some of that haze in the sky, it sure feels like summer. Nothing to talk about on satellite or radar imagery. So we're just going to talk about the forecast. We've got more of the same expected for your Wednesday. It will change though Wednesday overnight and into Thursday as a cold front moves into the northern Rockies. That'll give us a pretty good shot of seeing some clearer air, especially for folks to the south of us, along with thunderstorms and cooler temps. More details on the way.
Thanks, Aaron. In national news tonight, the president is in Phoenix, Arizona, holding his first major campaign event in the city. The visit comes just a day after the president announced his decision to deepen U.S. involvement in Afghanistan and as racial tensions run high across the nation. Chris Martinez has the latest from Arizona.
President Trump returned to Phoenix for the first time since taking office, fresh off a tour of a Border Patrol center near the Mexican border.
It is finally time to rebuild our country, to take care of our people, and to fight for the jobs our great American workers deserve.
As Trump supporters filed into the arena,
I'm happy with the jobs that he's producing.
protesters marched through the streets to denounce the president's previous views on Charlottesville.
What happened in Charlottesville strikes at the core of America. And tonight, this entire arena stands united in forceful condemnation of the thugs who perpetrate hatred and violence.
Others refuse to forget the divisive rhetoric Mr. Trump used against illegal immigrants on the campaign trail.
You can't just sit there and not do something. The basic rights are under attack.
The mayor of Phoenix had asked President Trump to delay his visit here as a way to keep the peace. Many demonstrators remain angry the president is considering pardoning Joe Arpaio, who was recently convicted of carrying out illegal traffic patrols targeting immigrants.
I think it all culminated and made the issue of division in this country worse than it is.
The state's two Republican senators, John McCain and Jeff Flake, have publicly clashed with the president in recent days. Both declined to join Mr. Trump in his events in the state today. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Phoenix, Arizona.
Arizona's Republican governor reportedly did not attend the president's rally, although he did support Mr. Trump in his candidacy. Back in northwest Montana, the Gibraltar Ridge Fire 7 miles east of Eureka is holding in a little more than 3,500 acres tonight and is 19% contained. Firefighters spent yesterday mopping up along the fire line on the south end of this fire and patrolling the existing containment line and around structures. A Type 3 incident management team is set to take over the managing the blaze tomorrow. The public information officer for the fire tells us this new team taking over means crews are gaining more control.
What that means is the fire is going from a complex level to a less complex level, and so there'll be the number of firefighters assigned to the fire will be reduced. The number of staff supporting the firefighters is less, and that's a good sign for this fire because we've been able to secure work on containment line on the west side of the fire to protect the private property, homes, and cabins.
Some pre-evacuation orders remain in effect tonight near the Gibraltar Ridge Fire. We have those on our website. The Sprague Fire in Glacier National Park is expected to kick up as hotter and drier weather move into the area. The fire perimeter grew about 40 acres yesterday, and the blaze has now burned 1,224 acres. Fire managers say the flames are most active in the Sprague Creek drainage, and it's expected to move up the Lincoln Ridge between the Sprague and Lincoln Creek drainages. Firefighters are staged at the Sperry Chalet, and fire managers say they're confident that the structure protection measures in place will protect the historic building if needed. There's a fire information line available. It's staffed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That number is on your screen. The Liberty Fire burning between Arlee and Seeley Lake grows to nearly 7,800 acres, but firefighters are dealing with more problems than just the fire. Recent bear sightings in the area prompted fire managers to hold a recent training on the proper use of bear spray. Fire managers tonight reporting the blaze continues to see more fire activity as the temperatures continue to warm. Fire activity has continued to back into Liberty Meadows and Gold Creek drainage, while uphill runs are being observed in the Gold Creek Peak area. You can call 406-258-4636 with any questions about evacuations or containment on this fire. And the Blue Bay Fire east of Polson above Montana Highway 35 has now burned 490 acres. The good news, it's now 40% contained. This lightning-caused blaze is burning in timber along the steep, rugged terrain above the Blue Bay recreation site, Blue Bay and East Shore community areas. It's not directly threatening any homes or structures at this time. Good news from one of the most active fires in northwest Montana. More residents living near the Lolo Peak fire are being allowed to go back home. Evacuations were downgraded to warning status for some residents last night. Hundreds of homes remain on evacuation orders, though, and warnings, which we have detailed on our website. Old Highway 93 remains restricted to residential and fire traffic only. Highway 12 is completely open to traffic now. This fire has grown to more than 32,300 acres with only 11% containment. Governor Steve Bullock is told the Lolo Peak fire will be a prolonged event that could burn for weeks, but fire managers say they're also making progress fighting this fire, which has now consumed over 33,000 acres. Firefighters have been using the calmer weather the past couple of days to conduct mop-up operations where the fire exploded in those high winds we had lately. late last week. And during a briefing at the Incident Command Post in Florence today, the governor was telling crews that they need to be taking advantage of these conditions to prepare for more unsettled weather later this week. He's urging people to be patient and continue to pull together for a very tough fire season.
And recognize that for all of you, even as we lose a couple of structures, that this has been a hard fire season on anybody that's come out here. I mean, to lose 2 lives, the folks who are fighting fires and making a difference for our communities each and every day, that any frustrations that people have, we ought to be given a little bit of grace as a result of that.
We don't have time to talk about every fire burning across our region during our show, but you can follow our extensive coverage online, KAJ18.com, and by following our Twitter and Facebook accounts. And we do have some good news tonight for anglers in the region. Fishing restrictions on western Montana rivers have all been lifted thanks to these cooler temperatures. The stretches of water where restrictions will be removed are the Clark Fork River from its origins at Warm Springs Creek to Rock Creek near Missoula, Silverboat Creek from its confluence with Blacktail Creek in Butte where it enters Warm Springs Pond, and the Bitterroot River downstream of Veterans Bridge near Hamilton. Coming up on your 10 o'clock news, Aaron says we could see some thunderstorms later this week, and those storms won't be anything like what residents are dealing with in parts of South America where flooding turns dangerous. Plus, later in our show, some Helena residents say city leaders did not follow proper procedure when they decided to remove